Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us for the Midnight Black Mass. Myself, the Reverend Dan Wilson, brings you the dark gospel of professional wrestling, uncensored, unedited, uncut, and not for the faint of heart. You can find out more about us at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe at Potty Humor on iTunes and Stitcher today.
Forget all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
Ghastly greetings, groovy ghoulies, and welcome to another live edition of the Midnight Black Mass on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network, ProWrestlingRadio.net. It is I, your host, the devil you know, the maniacal minister, the occult, the Reverend the Dragon, Dan Wilson, and how the hell are you? Welcome. Glad to have you. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce my partner in crime, the most offensive man in podcasting, and that says a lot, the one and only Southeastern Strangler, Andrew Alexander. How's it going, brother?
Damn, am I the most offensive man in podcast? Like, is that an official thing?
I mean, no one's given the term or the catchphrase or the title to you until now, but I'm going to go on record and say that just to try to put a little heat on you, pal.
Good. I like heat. I love heat.
Not afraid of heat, huh?
No, sir. Never.
Well, and of course, I just want to give a quick shout out as well to our producer, Fast Eddie Lane, who's on the line. How's it going, Eddie?
Pretty freaking awesome. It's been a great weekend, and I've enjoyed every second of it. The only downside to it is I'm out of weed, and tomorrow's Monday.
That could present a problem.
It's a bitch.
It really could. But, of course, I've had a lot of fun doing these live broadcasts here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network with a looser format and just kind of going where the night takes us. And this is we will not be back with a live edition next week. We'll be taking off next week. We may have something in the can for you depending on schedules, but we will be back the following Sunday with another live return. So just wanted to keep you posted on that. Before we get into everything, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way because I think probably the worst thing to happen in the U.S. since 9/11 as far as body count. And one of my favorite cities on the entire planet, Orlando, Florida. You know, if you're living under a rock, you might have missed it on the news. But, of course, everybody saw another fucking mass shooting in a nightclub where, you know, people are just out to have a good time. And even worse, it was a gay club because, like, honestly, they're the most fun nightclubs to go to. You don't have to worry about your lady getting hit on by a bunch of random creepers. They're all very friendly. It's just a big party. Like if I'm going to, and I generally hate nightclubs, but if I have to, you know, if I have to be forced into going into a nightclub, you know, that's the kind of club I want to go to. They're always a lot of fun. And so you go to a place where there's nothing but joy and some fuckhead fucking just causes chaos and panic and horror and murder, and it's just getting a little fucking old, guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was horrible to wake up to, and the story kept changing, the numbers kept changing. What's the final toll on how many casualties there were? Was it at 50?
Last I saw was 50.
and that's not including, injuries and things like that. But how ridiculous is it? And as it come out, of course, there's always rumors and people just kind of want to make it their own thing. But was this indeed a terrorist attack?
There's a lot of conflicting information. There's reports that he called 911 and declared allegiance to ISIS, but then if you look at the family interviews and the interviews of some of the people that knew him already, they're saying he wasn't religious at all, that he was a kind of a mentally unstable dude, and that he was really anti-gay. Like he saw two dudes making out in Miami, which to me is like, yeah, I guess you've never been to Miami then, if that surprised you. But so, and apparently like enraged him, and like his ex-wife said, he was unstable and he was always very anti-gay. So like, I don't know, like, was it, it probably was motivated by religion to an extent. What was the deal with the claiming ISIS thing? If he was, pretty much a secular person, who knows? The details on these things always come out a whole lot more over time. So, I don't care to speculate, really. Especially to get into some kind of political discussion, other than to see how everybody has to turn it into a fucking political thing. Like, can we just be sad that a bunch of innocent people lost their lives because some asshole decided that he didn't like something about them? Like, that's fucked, and I don't think anything else really matters.
Yeah, and so what happened to him? Did he kill himself?
No, he apparently got killed in a shootout with the cops.
Okay, well, and that Orlando just suffered. I believe was it Friday? Was it 2 or 3 nights ago, where the young singer got murdered after her concert?
Yep.
The same town. That's horrible.
Yeah, two really bad things happened in a city I love a lot. A city I've contemplated relocating to a number of times, and probably my absolute favorite vacation spot. It really sucks. And like the thing with the shooting of the girl is totally unrelated type of thing. This was apparently like an obsessed fan. And, really brought back bad memories and the sour taste of Dimebag Darrell getting shot on stage, and he's one of my all-time musical heroes. And just not a good weekend for that type of stuff, man. So just, our thoughts and condolences are with the fans, not with the fans, but with the family and the friends of the victims of the Orlando massacre. It's just fucking awful. And, like the one positive you could say out of it is like you see that people have gone out of their way to show that that love is alive, not to become a hippie here and take it to the 60s or anything, but that they're going to shine a light in this darkness. And like the blood banks, they were asking for blood donations for a lot of the victims. And they had to shut them down in most all cases and tell them to come back tomorrow. They've hit capacity. Lines wrapped around the building. The GoFundMe account for the victims, it got up to something like $350K in the first day. So when you think humanity couldn't be any shittier, it's at least good in response that people show that, no, there's a lot of shitty ones out there, but at least as a whole, we're not fucking scum.
Yeah, unfortunately, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, so you really only kind of hear a lot about all the negativity and the negative people and the crazy, fucking psychotic people. But for every guy that wants to go in and shoot up a nightclub, there's 100, 1,000, 10,000 good people out there that just want to live their lives and be happy and mind their own business, and it sucks that there's not a lot more stories of positivity and things such as that coming from people, and it's always something with shootings, terrorist attacks, religious acts, totally gone wrong, things such as that. But thoughts and prayers with the families, and hopefully this shit will stop one day. But it doesn't. It's not looking good for the human race.
No, I didn't. And Eddie, I'm sure you've probably expressed thoughts on this on a number of the other programs that you're involved with here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. But do you have anything to contribute, just being that it's such a heavy topic, and I'm sure, it's pretty much something that's affected everybody, I think, at some level.
Well, for me personally, I'm weird about my words. I do believe that it's a tragedy, but I also have to pick the word atrocity because a airplane going down is a tragedy. A massive car pileup, a tragedy. What this situation is a pure atrocity because of the acts of one person. And look, I've always been a believer in live and let live. I will always sit back and say, I may not totally agree with everything you do, but I'll forever defend your right to do it. And from that vantage point, for this person to take a situation to the depths, not to the lengths, but to the depths that they did, in my book, and I'm going to burn for this one, I know, because I'm sure that there's people out there that have a different point of view than what I do. There's a special place in hell for people like that. But by the same token, I will also sit back and say this. Hey, look, you want to call it a jihad, brother? Guess what? Now you get your 72 versions, and I hope all of them have the clap.
There ain't none left. You seen the meme. There's none left because Prince made it to heaven, so he's out of luck.
Hey, and as fact of the matter stands, if the guy was waiting for a virgin or two down here, I think Andrew Alexander's already gone through them all.
I got it. I was about to say, I can't find one virgin on Earth, so I don't know how they think they're going to find 72. But no, sir, I've got a strict no virgin policy. I don't want to be that guy because women always hate and regret the first time. And if a woman's going to hate and regret being with me, it's not going to be just because it was the first time. I'm going to give her something really memorable to despise about me. So I got a no virgin policy.
But to put a wrap on it from my perspective, I joined the two of you just like the entire Beyond Ringside family of shows has come together. Corner to Corner, BR Live, Back to Basics, Shooters Gallery, To Be Determined, all of us, including shows that have left the air and that have said something, and shows that are coming back and coming on that have said something. We joined the families, we joined the friends, and sending your way our humblest condolences and thoughts. And for those who do, such as myself, I send prayers your way that you might find a moment of peace throughout this entire atrocity. I'm just glad. I'm glad whether he did it to himself or whether the police got to him. I say anything else on this one, I'm gonna basically go off the deep end. So I will sit back and say to the families, to the friends of this atrocity, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Rev?
Thanks, Eddie. I wanted to get your feedback on that being such an integral part of this operation. Felt it was only appropriate. But we'll move the discussion along. I think we've covered that, and you're going to see it on the endless 24-hour news cycle, so no need in beating it over the head. You can Google search a quick look into any of the donation efforts if you want to donate to the relief funds or help out. There's lots of information out there on how you can do it. And you feel bad about even talking about this because these people obviously were doing the same thing. And this is my last point on this, actually, before we move on, because it does bring up a point that I want to get across here. And it's a point that's reiterated every time something like this happens, but I feel it's important to reiterate it again so we don't lose sight of it. About to talk about our weekends. And, we got to go out and enjoy the weekend. I got to go to a concert, big music festival, go out doing karaoke afterwards with a bunch of our friends. It was a great time. And these people were also going to do something similar, and they didn't come home just because of some asshole. So if you want to sit at home and be afraid because it might happen to you, you're only giving in to exactly what they want, which is to inspire fear and terror and make you not want to leave your house and make you not want to live your life. And you can't fucking do that. Amen. You can't let those motherfuckers win. You got to get out there. You got to live your life. Be vigilant. Be alert. Watch out. Watch your back. Look out for your fellow man. But don't stop doing what you're doing.
Amen.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% because that's all these guys want. They want to strike fear in everybody. They want everybody to be scared. Want everybody to be afraid to have the freedom that this country provides us. And I say, fuck them. We can't give them the satisfaction.
Yeah, then that's a much more positive note to end that story on, I think. Live your life, people. Don't let the terrorists win, as cliche as it is. So I did go to the Riverbend 2016 Music Festival. It's an annual music festival that comes to the Chattanooga area, has been going on since before I was born. And I've seen a lot of crazy, awesome things at Riverbend. I saw Bill Cosby do stand-up back before he was a maligned figure that is hated for, probably justly, for if the accusations are true, he's absolutely. But, he's not had his day in court, I guess that. So we'll just, keep all of that in speculation. I don't even want to dive into that topic. It's not a stance, but it was cool to see Bill Cosby when he was one of the most famous dudes in the world at that time, at least. I've seen Blue Oyster Cult at Riverbend, about every classic rock band you can imagine, but one that I wanted to mark off of the old rock and roll bucket list was Heart. Ann and Nancy Wilson's Canadian powerhouse of rock and roll, little girl power. Obviously, they've kicked ass for many years, and I've always been a huge fan of them, but the tickets to get them individually have typically been very pricey. So you get in on the music festival, you can go for several nights and see a bunch of different things, and Heart was a huge selling point on that. So finally got to see him. Andrew, have you seen Heart previously? I believe you have, right?
I've seen them twice, and I will see them later at the end of this summer. They are amazing.
Yeah, they've been at this since the 70s, since the Dreamboat Annie album, which is the 70s era stuff is my favorite, but they had some really badass 80s stuff too. And they played a couple of their new songs, but they were pretty good too. So they still rock, they still kick ass. And the set list was pretty much everything I wanted to hear. The only thing they didn't play that I was kind of bummed out about was Magic Man. Like, that's a good one. They didn't make the set list. But everything else you could have wanted to hear was there. It was a surprisingly hassle-free Riverbend. Like, usually you go in, you have to wait in line for fucking an hour to get your wristband, and then another 30 minutes to get your beer, and then to get your tokens, or vice versa. And then you got to go navigate through a herd of people. And there was a lot of people there, but like everything just ran smoothly. We didn't wait in any long lines. Like, we hooked up with different friends that we saw, and went out and mingled with them, got drinks, and just walked around and saw the different stuff. Saw as an opener a Led Zeppelin tribute band called Club Led, and they were pretty fucking tight, I must say. We did joke about the singer because he looked like the biological bastardization of some sort of lab experiment gone wrong, where they tried to breed the DNA of Eddie Van Halen and Geddy Lee. So he looked like Geddy Van Halen singing fucking Robert Plant.
Geddy Van Halen.
but GBH, man, he can fucking wail. So the band was really tight too. So if you ever see Club Led like out at a local, they were a touring act. Wherever you're listening from, if you see them out at a bar and you think, oh, it's just another one of these cover bands, like, no, they really do the songs justice. They fucking rock hard. But yeah, so you didn't get out to the old Riverbend this year. Is that something that you've been avoiding recently?
Yeah, I don't love Riverbend. It's cool. I can see the appeal, definitely, and I've had some good times there. But as a whole, I don't look forward to going to Riverbend. Between the money that you got to spend if you want to have a good time, and just the people. And like you said, there's usually a lot of hassle as far as waiting and how long it takes to circulate through the crowd. But I mean, there's just thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people there. So if it's somebody, it's got to be somebody really good that I want to see, and not that Hart isn't. But like I said, I'm definitely going to see Hart in Nashville in August or September. I'm forgetting the date, but definitely going to go see them. I think it's them, Cheap Trick, and Joan Jett on one bill. All bands I've seen multiple times, but they're all amazing live, and for one concert to see them, I just can't pass that up. So yeah, I tend to skip Riverbend. Haven't been in a couple of years now. I think the last time was probably 3 years ago. So it's just not something that I get really excited about anymore.
I'll be returning Friday to see REO Speedwagon, another one of your favorites, but I know you've seen them a million times too, so you're probably going to pass that up also.
Yes, but only because, again, I will also be seeing them at the end of the summer with Def Leppard and Tesla in Atlanta. So if not for that, I would make the trek out for Riverbend for Hart or REO Speedwagon. But since I'm going to see them later in the year, I pass. But yeah, those are two of my favorite bands, really. I mean, favorite as far as if I had to put a top 20 list together, they would be on it. It's very hard to narrow down your favorite bands, but I mean, I have a tattoo on my body that is REO Speedwagon lyrics, so I guess they could make the cut.
Yeah, well, I was happy with Riverbend this year, and I'm definitely excited about going back. And just there's like a part of meeting some people, and some people you don't care to meet. Like there were some fucking total wackos at that Club Lead thing. Like there was this dude that come and walked and stood right in front of me and my wife, and like you could just see in his eyes, like the lights were on, but nobody was fucking home. And I don't even think he was like fucked up on anything, because he was pretty normal looking dude, but like just like he was fucking out there. Like he looked like he should have had a handler. Like he was like fucking twitching his head around and like looking back at different people and like smiling real creepily at them, and then like dancing all over the place, and just like everybody that was around him would like take the old tiptoe backwards, like I don't want to be near this guy. And all of the 50 somethings like just getting their fucking groove on to Led Zeppelin was pretty awesome to me.
So this guy needed a handler. Did he look like the fucking missing link or something? Like, what was going on?
No. He looked more like you remember the movie Silver Bullet?
I remember it, but not vividly. I will Google any character you're about to say though later, because I want to get a handle on this guy.
Do you remember the little boy that gets mutilated by the werewolf, and his dad is all like fucking grief-stricken and leads a search party out in the woods, and then also gets mauled by the werewolf? Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Okay. He looked like the dad.
Okay. So it looks like you saw some interesting characters. I mean, I want to see this Led Zeppelin cover band just to get my eyes on Geddy Van Halen one time.
Well, I think everybody should at least once.
Well, sounds like you had a good time.
I did. So what about you? You were sending me some video footage. You were at, and I don't know if you want to disclose the name or location, or you just want to give us a summary. Okay. Well, you were at a show somewhere, and I guess just being a spectator for shits and giggles, and you send me a video, and who is there with you watching? Go ahead.
I'm not going to give any details partly because of embarrassment. I don't want to just shit all over guys, but a friend of mine, if you can even consider them a friend after this action, this is betrayal I've never felt before, said, "Hey, I'm wrestling at this show. Why don't you come by and hang out?" And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And you know damn well I don't want to go to no wrestling show. But, it was a good friend, and he just wanted to hang out. I figured we could probably go get a bite to eat or something afterwards. So I go to this wrestling show, an independent show, and I'm hanging out, and, I actually get to go out into the crowd and sit there and watch it, and, most of it. And and I did that. And then another friend, a good friend of ours from the old Empire days was there, so we sit out and watched it together, and it was just so horrible. There's just a lot of bad stuff. I mean, it was almost laughably bad, but then it crosses the line where you're like, man, I just want to ask these guys, some of the guys, not all the guys, to be fair, but some of the guys, you want to ask them what they're thinking when they're out there and with their presentation and just different things. But finally it ended, there was a decent match or two and a watchable match and, some stuff that wasn't just atrocious, but for the most part it was not a good experience. It was funny. I said, I went to the NXT show in Atlanta, just a bit ago, and it made me, there was some stuff I saw that made me actually miss wrestling and miss being in the ring and miss performing and competing. And then I go to this show, and it really drove home the fact that I'm very glad I'm retired and have nothing to do with the wrestling business anymore. So I experienced both sides of the spectrum within a week's time. So yeah, I'm glad that I'm not in the wrestling business, and it further drives home the point that you will not be seeing me at your local independent show doing any performing or appearances or anything like that.
Exclusively on the Midnight Black Mass, folks. All I know is that you sent me a video, and then you panned over to Chris Gans, who was sitting beside you, and he made a face as if he were caught jacking off at a movie theater. However, I think he probably would have been less embarrassed if he got caught jacking off.
That's a safe assumption, And I mean, I know it's hard putting on wrestling shows and stuff, and it's not something you want to make fun of because these guys are performing just like we have, and well, I won't say just like we have, but they're out there working hard, and they busted their butts to put on a show and put up the ring and promote and things such as that. But they're just some of them are just so clueless. I don't understand what they're thinking or what their thought process is to anything that's going on. But yeah, and it made me feel bad about myself too, because I think back to when I was performing at any point in my career, whether I was good, bad, indifferent. It makes me think back to when there were people in the crowd that weren't really there to watch the show, that maybe were drugged there by their friends or for whatever reason came to the show, and they weren't wrestling fans and they're watching. They probably looked at me the same way I look at some of these guys and were like, this motherfucker is so stupid out there in his crazy outfit, his crazy tights and his spandex, and acting a damn fool. Whether you're good at this or not, you're going to have those people that look at you like you're just an idiot. And I imagine that I've got those looks many a times before from strangers because I was watching this show like, holy fuck, what are these guys thinking and what are they doing? But it was a fun time. I can't deny that. And I didn't have to buy a ticket, so I guess I wasn't out any money.
Well, and you said that some of them weren't bad. There was good, so you put it over a little, and you didn't mention it by name because it's not the objective to throw any promotion under the bus, like you say. If they're out there trying, and if they've at least got something that's worth people paying to see, then that's a plus. But it's amusing to me to get your advantage or your vantage point rather now that you're you're on the other side of the barricade, and it's a bizarro world to me, but I find it fascinating.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. And and there's the matchmaker, booker, management part of me that legitimately had to stop myself several times from being like, these are people I don't even know. Some of them I've never met in my life and, didn't know who I was. I just wanted to say, I just wanted to be like, what the fuck are you thinking? What are you doing out there? Like, what is your problem? Just read these guys the riot act, but I'm like, don't be that guy, don't be an asshole. And luckily no one asked me anything like, what'd you think or whatever, because I probably would have just ran away, to be honest with you, because I wouldn't have wanted to hurt anybody's feelings.
So, Andrew, what'd you think? Oh, well, I think I've got to go. See ya. Can you tell me what I did wrong? What you did wrong was getting to the fucking range.
A little inside joke for us there.
That's tremendous. Well, so while you were at Phantom Wrestling Show and I was at Riverbend, I also appeared via the magic of technology in Cornelia, Georgia for Why We Wrestle, at least in video promo form. And a huge event. Looks like the momentum is continuing to go strong. Had another slight bump in attendance, so didn't go down. That's a good thing. And the crowd reaction was nuclear all night. Larry Goodman had a very kind report, and he's not been very kind in some of these early reports. So glad to see that the esteemed Larry Goodman seems to think that things are on the right track, because he's actually sitting out there with the audience. The one thing that, whether you love Larry, you hate Larry, I've been friends with him for many years. He's torn my shit apart. He's put it over like the second coming. I'm never too old to stop learning or getting feedback from somebody who I consider a respected opinion, and his is. But he's always very good at gauging where the crowd reactions are on things, and so it seemed like things were really on tap. Had a huge main event three-way dance. The winner facing Anthony Henry on June 25th. It was the real Slim J, Kevin Blue, and Wild Billy Buck, three of the top contenders for the Why We Wrestle Championship, held by Strychnine, the Lethal Dose. And so it was the real Slim J in a hell of a match that came out victorious, and will go on June 25th to face Anthony Henry in a match in and of itself. Has lots of people excited. We've got some tweets already that there's some people driving in for that one. So that's huge. And the winner of that one is going to go on to face Strychnine at Summer of Hate on July 30th for the Why We Wrestle Championship, assuming that Strychnine still has the title at that time. Speaking of Strick, Bobby Moore, the Hit for Hire, has returned to Cornelia, and he actually, he's been on this crusade to start the Southern Bastards crew. He says that his time off has given him a new outlook on life, and he's coming to assemble a crew of people to change the way things are going in Why We Wrestle, and to have no gods and no masters. So I'm interested to see what happens here. Looks like he might have gotten his first recruit by changing the image of a man known as Wade Adams, who was pretty much a comedy wrestler in this tag team called the Beardos. And Bobby had him shave his beard right there in front of everybody, and he did it. So I guess he's in the Southern Bastards crew, but Bobby later interrupted Strychnine and let a little dime piece drop that the bounty on Strychnine's head, which has been a serious news story at Why We Wrestle for the last couple of months, has now gone up to $2,000, and Bobby's very popular with the fans, but being the Hit for Hire, he's never going to turn down the opportunity to make that payday. And so looks like he's challenged Strychnine to go after the bounty, and they're going to lock horns one-on-one on June 25th, and that's going to be a hell of a match. And I'll be back on June 25th as well with the newest member of the Revived Devil's Rejects at Why We Wrestle, and it's going to be a doozy. I can promise you that. And there's more. NXT stars, the Bruiserweights, Corey Hollis and John Schuyler return for the first time in a while as a tag team to Why We Wrestle, and they're going to be taking on the up-and-coming Prince Apollo, who's called in a member of his royal family, the Emperor, Black Baron. And so they're going to be taking on the Bruiserweights. The Black Baron's got a great reputation all over the place as far as a hell of a talent, and, you know, he certainly has that cocky royal arrogance, just like Prince Apollo, who is just loathed by the Why We Wrestle fans. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. Apollo Star is shooting up, and he's bringing in some backup. And so that's going to be a hell of a match. And, of course, Gunnar Miller, the people's captain, one of the fastest rising stars in wrestling, took on possibly his biggest challenge to date and most certainly the most controversial ending to date of one of his matches in Why We Wrestle. He took on the 7-foot-tall, 300-pound Logan Creed, who has had a war going with Gunnar Miller both at PCW and Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. And they, from all reports, it was one of the best matches yet in Why We Wrestle. They went toe-to-toe, old Mid-South Bill Watts style smash-mouth wrestling to these two big hosses just out there fucking laying the lumber. And in the end, Gunnar Miller hit the CTE, but Logan Creed got his foot on the rope. Jeff G. Bailey swatted the foot on the rope, marking the first time he's involved himself in one of Gunnar Miller's matches. Logan Creed asked for the rematch. Scheduling will make that happen, but it looks like it's going to be in August, so we're going to keep you posted on when that rematch is coming. But the next challenge for Gunnar Miller, Jeff G. Bailey, just keeps lining them up. Some great matchups and great opponents. He's going to be taking on one of the best in the world for my money, and especially pound for pound. Kyle Matthews will be making his glorious return to the church to take on Gunnar Miller on June 25th. And, folks, does that sound like a stacked card or what?
Man, I might have to keep my streak alive of sitting in the crowd at some wrestling shows and come buy a ticket and watch that one. Maybe I can get hooked up with a comp. Save me a couple dollars, but that's
your lifetime on the guest list, pal.
That's a good card, man. Gunnar Miller and Kyle Matthews alone, and I've got to believe. I know. I never put that together. With them facing each other at Empire, so that's probably the first time ever, and that match alone is worth the price of a ticket. And man, $2,000 bounty on Strychnine, man. That thing gets bumped up to $3,000. I might have to show up and take my chances. That's some heavy money. and Bobby Moore, of course, Bobby Moore's not going to turn down that money. It's what you want about Bobby Moore. I mean, that guy's a talent. I mean, he's come a long way over the years. You know, I don't know if there's anybody in wrestling now in Georgia that hits harder than that guy. And just a little side note, people may not know this about him, but he's a complete asshole.
Say it again.
He's an asshole.
Oh yeah, he can be. As demonstrated by the beard shaving of Wade Adams, it was like some sort of gang initiation. He was just like, hey, you want to roll with me? You want to drop this guy who's been your buddy for like 2 years? You got to shave your beard to do it. And he was like, all right.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, I would watch out for those guys, right? Anybody that's going to roll with Bobby Moore is probably an asshole too. So I'm just letting everybody know as a PSA to watch out for that group because they're not going to be playing around. And if Bobby Moore is pulling some strings, I would hate to be on the other end of what comes from that because it's going to be hard hitting and they're not going to take any prisoners. They're not going to be nice guys.
And Bobby and Strychnine, I'm sure that match has happened, but never where both of them are at the level they are as competitors now. So that's going to be one hell of a fight. Very excited to see what's going on there. And, you know, I've always been cool with Bobby, but I don't know about these Southern Bastards crew. So, you know, I'm just going to have to keep my eye on that situation since I am there to make sure that Strychnine has an army of protection from this bounty. So, just saying. But there's a couple more things even to talk about. You thought the card was stacked. That's not all. The Why We Wrestle Tag Team Title Tournament, of course, last night, it continued in what Larry Goodman called possibly the best match of the tournament. There's been some fucking hellacious matches in this tournament. But in possibly the best match of the tournament, he said, was the Dark City Fight Club. Corey Chavis and John Davis, former ROH stars, former NWA World Tag Team Champions, taking on the Big Effing Deal, the team of Jeter and Brian Blaze. And Jeter is just one of the most impressive athletes I've ever seen. For a guy his size, you would not ever expect the things that he could do in the ring, and he is just an absolute killer. And Brian Blaze is a longtime friend and partner of him. He's a guy who's definitely dealt with some adversity in his life and come out on the end looking strong. And those guys went down in defeat to the Dark City Fight Club, but I don't think we've heard the last of the Big Effing Deal. Dark City moves along to the next round. The Get Along Gang, they were supposed to face each other in the tournament. Mike Posey and CB Suave against, it was going to be Marco Polo and Raphael King. Raphael King didn't show up because apparently he and Divine Nicole had eloped. And so Nina Monet of the Get Along Gang entourage stepped in and tagged with Marco Polo. And it was basically just a bunch of shenanigans because they just argued over shit until they all ended up getting counted out. So both teams of the Get Along Gang have been eliminated from the tournament, meaning the Dark City Fight Club will get a bye all the way to the final. So we know one of the teams that will be participating in the final will be the Dark City Fight Club. And more announcements to come on that. More tag team tournament action on June 25th. The Lynch Mob return after a huge victory in the first round over Anthony Henry and Oi Blackheart. And shocker that many people did not expect Anthony Henry's team to go down in the first round. And the Lynch Mob really cemented themselves with the Cornelia Faithful and got a huge response from that hot debut. And they're coming back to take on a real challenge because it's also a team who is probably the fan favorite team in the tournament thus far, the team of Wild Billy Buck and James Drake, two big bad hosses. I've said before they remind me of the Texas Outlaws in a way, but Billy's got they've actually both got just great technical skills as well. In addition, they can mix it up. So the Lynch Mob are going to have their hands full there. The winner of that match is going to the finals. So that's going to be pretty huge. And then the Hooligans are still in the tournament, actually, due to a buyout, and I forgot to mention this, so they're actually going to the finals as well. So we've got one more tag team title tournament match to happen, and it's happening on June 25th.
That's some exciting shit for sure. I have to clear the calendar and make the trip down because that's. I mean, it's crazy that that's not a huge mega event because the card sounds pretty damn stacked. It's going to be tough to top.
I feel like we've been in the spot that almost every event has to be a major event right now to generate that buzz. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. We'll see what happens, but that's certainly the game plan, and hoping to just keep that momentum rolling up into the big show, Summer of Hate, on July 30th, the first ever super card that's unique to Why We Wrestle. Of course, the first one was Hardcore Hell. That's carrying on the tradition of the one major event in the arena for all those years, but everything else with Why We Wrestle is going to be brand new. Summer of Hate is the first of those epic, spectacular events that will be unique to Why We Wrestle and will occur annually. The last thing I want to mention about that before I move along is Jacob Ashworth was back in action, and that issue with him and Nemesis is just out of control. Nemesis, as of the last show, defeated Slate Sludge from IWA Mid-South in a pretty quick order, pretty dominant fashion. And Jacob Ashworth just attacked Nemesis and beat the ever-loving dog piss out of him in the middle of the ring in front of everybody. Nemesis was a bloody mess. Jacob's friends, Slim J and Billy Buck, and I guess new buddies, the Lynch Mob, came and pulled him off. And they, got him calmed down and everything, got Nemesis out of there. But so Jacob's in the ring post-match. Up on the video wall comes Nemesis. And it's a pre-tape from the last show, and he's just a bloody mess, and he's just blubbering and just apologizing to Jacob, like, did he learn his lesson? I don't know. Jacob said, if you want to apologize to me, you're going to do it face-to-face. So he's going to be there on June 25th, and Nemesis allegedly is going to apologize to him face-to-face. I don't know if it's this deal with Shadow Jackson that maybe had a change of heart. Is he being the snake that everyone expects him to be? Most likely, but I'm just kind of at a loss for what the hell is going to happen. So batten down the hatches for June 25th, people.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote on he's a snake in the grass. I don't see him apologizing face to face for anything. But maybe like you said, the thing with Shadow Jackson, that's the type of thing that gives people perspective. So that'll be interesting. The Jacob Ashworth, man, that's pretty crazy. This guy's always been more of a quieter guy, there to wrestle, there to, perform. have good matches. It sounds like he's really stepped up and kind of becoming his own man. And
he's become one of the most popular stars there, man. The people are behind him. After his response to the Bloody Nemesis interview, the people were on their feet chanting Jacob. So, you know, he's definitely got them right with him. And, you know, he's gone through a lot in this deal with Nemesis and endured a lot of abuse and humiliation. And, you know, he's looking for his payback. So I find it interesting to know, did he get it? And was it that quick, that swift of a retribution? I don't know. It all smells a little fishy to me, but I know Jacob's not going in there expecting the Nemesis is going to apologize to him either. So, like I said, anything could happen on the 25th. You're just going to have to show up to be there. Let me hit my dates real quick. Beyond that, where I'm going to be, I'll be in Cornelia on July 9th, July 23rd, and, of course, again, as I mentioned before, on Summer of Hate on July 30th. We'll also be having a huge training camp right before Summer of Hate, the day of. Les Thatcher and George South are coming down to do a dual training camp that day. So professionals, you definitely want to sign up if you want to take your game to the next level. And then I'll also be, where am I going to be? I'll be at the Scenic City Invitational on August 5th and 6th. What a lineup of talent has been announced for that. Most recently, former UFC fighter, now probably one of the best wrestlers in the world with just barely a year of experience under his belt. Matt Riddle has been announced for the SCI. Plus favorites like Billy Buck, who we just mentioned, and Michael Judas joining the fray of already announced Jimmy Rave and Corey Hollis and John Schuyler. And Leo Rush and so many more. Scenic City's really shaping up to be huge. It's officially sponsored by WrestlingWithWords.com, who is also the host of the podcast I do with Al Getz every other Thursday. Somehow we manage about the art of and history of the professional wrestling manager. Coming up this next week on the program, we are interviewing pro wrestling Exile on Bad Street host Chris Zellner, one of the great wrestling podcasters, one of the most popular wrestling podcasters who's unaffiliated with anything. His shows are just always a treat. They're always a great examination on history. He really knows his stuff. He's talking about his top 10 favorite unheralded Memphis managers post Jimmy Hart through 1990. So we really talk about an eclectic mix of managers you may have never heard of. You definitely want to check that out at WrestlingWithWords.com. August 20th, I'll be in Knoxville, Tennessee for Warzone Wrestling, managing Brad Cash and the Strong Style Psycho Tank against Christian Lotus and ECW legend, the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. Don't want to miss that. And then Friday, September 2nd, I'll be returning to Dragon Con Championship Wrestling in Atlanta, Georgia. You can find all of that info on my Twitter at Dragons Rejects. So all my plugs are out of the way.
What about your hair plugs?
Say it again?
What about your hair plugs?
Yeah, they're running a little late.
Well, maybe one day they'll come around.
I casted an incantation to have some show up, and it never worked. So must have got some bum magic. I don't know, but it's all good. So we've only got what we're looking at about 10 minutes left in the broadcast. So just, you know, in the spirit of positivity, you can bitch about wrestling all day long, and we're very good at that. But I'll talk about something I saw that I really loved and continue the theory from, or the vibe from the last program we did here. NXT TakeOver. What a damn great show. It was National Best Friend Day, so I went over to the Great Muji's new house and enjoyed it with him. And that's wrestling how I like it, man. I mean, it's modern, like the in-ring is modern as it can be, but they tell the stories of wrestling the way that I prefer it. And what did you think about it?
I really enjoy. Please, real quick, please, when we're done talking about this, remind me about the Great Muji. I got a little story about that guy you'll want to hear. But
okay.
I really enjoyed it. I like the way they do those well. They're 2 hours. They leave you wanting a little more. They don't try to cram too much in there. I thought the show was really good. Again, thought that the tag team title match stole the show. Really enjoyed that match, but no match, in my opinion, was bad. Every match was solid. Very interested to see what they do to build up through the summer to the next takeover event, which is in Brooklyn the night before SummerSlam. Which at this point in time, you kind of have to assume that that's NXT's kind of biggest event of the year. Even though these things are still young and still getting established, but that seems to be their big one in a big arena the weekend night before SummerSlam. So things are going to be interesting. Interesting with how NXT is affected by the upcoming brand split of the WWE, which is, I think it's going to be a great thing. I know I definitely won't be calling you on the night they do the draft because I know you don't care for that.
No. I don't like to have the draft interrupted. No.
But I really enjoyed the show. Again, though, I think the tag match was just leaps and bounds the best match of the show, and those guys just have, they have great chemistry. I really think that if they keep up, not only working together, but the style that they're working, and hopefully that can rub off on some other tag teams, both in NXT and on the main roster. But I think that's a rivalry that in 20, 30 years, people, wrestling fans are going to be saying, these matches are good. They remind me of the American Alpha revival matches in 2016. I really believe that they're that good, that they're just throwback to the tag. They're very similar to the tag matches that I like to watch from the 80s and part of the 90s, but they also have that pace that, there's not a lot of dead time. There's the crowd definitely stays into it. There's, not a lot of bullshit, not a lot of downtime or quote-unquote rest holds. The pacing is still really quick and really fast, and they fit a lot in there, but the way they do it is smart, and they tell a great story, and it's, about as real and realistic as you're going to get with wrestling these days, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's laid out like an old school wrestling show, and to me that makes maximum effectiveness of the gimmicks, of the stars, of the angles. Everything's given ample time. Everything is conservatively done for maximum effect. But the in-ring style is modern. It is the top workers in the world, and I love that main event. I thought the feud with Joe and Balor was a great feud, and the way they did it, just clean in the middle with no chicanery and, not a million run-ins. It was just like, okay, these two guys don't like each other. We're going to have a war. We trade the title back and forth. Now we're going to settle it in the cage and find out who's a better man. And, of course, Joe does it clean, and that's a controversial move in some cases to have the heel beat the guy clean, but it establishes that credibility. And, he's got the huge credibility moving forward as a dominant champion. So that was tremendous as well. And, of course, the tag match was just, it was one of the best matches I've seen in years. And I loved the one they did right before WrestleMania, but this one, it was even leaps and bounds better than that one. And Paul Ellering making his NXT debut, that was a pretty cool shocker. I think probably his daughter is a wrestler now, so I'm sure, he's trying to get his face relevant again to make sure that there's good opportunities for her. But, hey, there's not that many great legendary managers left in the business, so I'm always happy to see one of them pop up on my TV.
Yeah, and it's smart, too, because Paul Ellering can really use some developmental, he can really develop his skills in NXT.
And then maybe one day he'll get caught up to the main roster where he can bring back Rocco for everyone to enjoy.
Oh, yeah. That'll give you something to talk about on the Somehow We Manage podcast for sure. But, yeah, that was a big move. I think it's smart, and it's great helping out his daughter, and it can only do some good things for her, not only politically from a backstage standpoint, but there's going to be fans, especially main roster WWE fans that aren't aware of Paul Ellering, So the more he is visible, the more it can help her as far as establishing the Ellering name. And it's going to be interesting to see what he does with the young, very large men, the authors of pain he has. So interesting time for NXT, and really the WWE too, because of the draft and because of Money in the Bank coming up. That's a pretty damn stacked show, man. That AJ Styles John Cena match, a little rushed for my taste, but you never know what they're going to do. They may not even have the damn match. They may be some bullshit schmoz, which is at this point fine with me, because I just think that's a WrestleMania match if I've ever seen one, and they're giving it to us quick, and that's going to be interesting. Plus, the rest of the card, Money in the Bank ladder match is always interesting and entertaining, and Seth Rollins back facing Roman Reigns for the title. So going into the summer and SummerSlam, this is seems to be a pretty good time to be a wrestling fan of the WWE product.
Yeah, there's a bit of excitement in the air about wrestling that I don't feel like there has been in, a long time, really. And I think, it's probably the best financial time in the business since the whole bottom dropped out after the big explosion of the 90s. So, hopefully we're on the way to seeing some greater, brighter days for the wrestling business. About out of time here. I know you said you had a story about the Great Muji. Those, if you're only listening to us here on Beyond Ringside, the Great Muji is the co-founder of the Potty Humor Network with myself, who hosts the on-demand version of these programs, and a couple of other great podcasts like the Get Your Pulls comic book podcast. But he's also my best friend since childhood. And so he often comes up in conversation here, and is quite an entertaining character at times. So, Andrew, please enlighten me.
It's a short story, but the Get Your Pulls podcast, that is still in full effect. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. New episode just dropped last week.
Okay, and he's still a part of this podcast, correct?
Oh, he is. Going strong.
Okay, well, the next time you have a podcast, you be sure to let your listeners know that motherfucker ain't qualified to talk one damn word about any comic book. Let me tell you why. Because, as you may know, a little film that we haven't really talked about too much, but a film by the name of X-Men Apocalypse opened recently. I'm sure you've seen it.
I've seen it, and I fucking loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, damn good movie. A really good addition to not only the this year's comic films, but the X-Men saga, if you will. Well, I asked Mr. Great Muji, if that is his real name, if he had seen the movie, and he says, "Oh, I'm going to go see it this weekend." I'm like, okay. I mean, you're getting old. You're pushing fucking 40 now, so maybe you can't see him opening night. That's fine. I give you that. But then this guy texts me that weekend, and he tries to be sly about it. He tries to slide it in there like I'm not going to notice. He says, "Hey, man, I just saw Neighbors 2. It's fucking hilarious." And I instantly reply back, "What the fuck?" And he writes back, "Ha ha ha." And I said, "You saw Neighbors 2? You went to the movie theater and you didn't see X-Men Apocalypse? You motherfucker." He's like, "I'll see it soon." Fuck that. You go on that podcast and you make fun of the Great Muji, because he ain't so great. He's going to watch fucking Seth Rogen or whatever the hell hanging out with Zac Efron. That's what he's into. He don't love the X-Men anymore. You gotta give him shit for that, please.
Oh, your wish is my command. Just call me the motherfucking genie.
Well, let your listeners know that his opinion, it doesn't have as much worth now.
Well, fans here on the show, you heard it, and I will let the Get Your Pulse listeners know that for sure. And that's going to wrap it up this week. We're out of time. Fast Eddie Lane, thank you so much, man, for having us here. Any final contributions to the program before we wrap it up?
If I could, let me go ahead and fly these out there. Live programming will resume with the Beyond Ringside Radio Network and ProWrestlingRadio.net on Tuesday, June the 14th, 9 p.m. Eastern. Global Championship Wrestling's GCW Radio, 10 p.m. Eastern. Back to Basics kicks in on Wednesday, the 15th. The To Be Determined Show, the Oracle of Ominous, the Wicked Nemesis, Angie Nemesis, yours truly, possibly even Clyde Braddock, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central. On Thursday, June 16th, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, the Shooters Gallery unloads and is ready to have some fun. It's going to be a full week right here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. I do have to ask one question. I want to get this one from both of y'all. AJ, Cena, this past Monday night, do you not feel that Cena managed to take a little bit of the wind out of AJ's heel/face/somewhere in between heat by utilizing two lines? Number one, you're pulling up that tired old excuse, and number two, that joke is more out of date than my jorts. Rev?
I mean, I don't ever really understand what they're trying to accomplish with the promos. So, I wonder, is it a situation where they're just letting them say whatever, which is a guy like Cena who probably has the stroke to be able to say whatever he wants and not necessarily have people write his shit for him, or if it's something like more deliberate to try to diminish AJ or somehow make him seem like he's not on the level of Cena, which I don't think they do, but it's not good business. Like, why are you going to do that when you're trying to sell this match? AJ's responses were great. I thought he was great on the mic, and he was quick. And, I think he certainly, kept himself alive there. I think, anybody else who maybe didn't have the balls to retort and, make sure that they were still strong in that might have come out of it lesser, but I don't think he did.
Andrew?
I think, I don't think those lines are, I don't think they're a big deal, and maybe looking into it just a bit much, but I agree with it. It's questionable as what they try to accomplish overall sometimes, because it doesn't look like they want, I don't know, it's kind of like with Roman Reigns, like, I guess AJ's the heel, but they're not trying to, I don't think they're trying to sway AJ supporters to do him. I think they're like, these people are going to like him, so just let him. But I think AJ's promo, anybody that says AJ can't cut a promo needs to watch Raw, because I thought that promo was top notch from him. Maybe it doesn't come as natural for him as it does a lot of guys, and it helps that he's working with Cena, but I thought his promo was dead on as far as delivery and believability and just everything he was saying. I thought it was a really solid, really top-notch showing overall.
Yeah, I did too.
And it's an interesting situation that gets people talking. There's going to be armchair bookers all over the world as far as what they should do, what they shouldn't do with this. But really, you can't judge it until it's over, until they're on, until they've moved on working with other people and this program itself is over. We got to sit back and just see what they do, because as of now, I say don't have the first match at Money in the Bank, and because Money in the Bank seems to draw well to begin with. I think between the ladder match and you have Rollins and Reigns, it seems to be pretty solid. Like, I don't know if you have to give this away, but I could be completely wrong. They could be leading to just a series of matches that will be the best of the year and maybe the best in several years. So we just got to sit back and watch and enjoy it, because that's all you can really do anyway.
Yeah, I was happy to see he had a good showing, and I'm just tickled that, he gets that big match. Not a lot of guys get that marquee match, with the guy who's been the top guy for many years now. And so, that's a spot that every guy in the business wants to be in. No matter what they type on social media, if you're a wrestler, you want to be in that spot working against John Cena. And so now AJ's there. It kind of shows that they have that faith in him. And, it's really exciting for me, him being a a homegrown guy down at the Wild Side area, and just knowing him all these years and having that link to his career, it's pretty cool.
And the match itself, I mean, I don't think it should come as a shock to anybody that has followed AJ Styles, but I mean, he's just really delivered thus far in the WWE. I think took a second to get established, but show me somebody that's got established and got accustomed to the quote unquote style that quick. I think he was hitting home runs with Roman Reigns, and you got to think he's going to do that with Cena. I mean, it's fucking Cena.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty excited for that match. So that's a cool note to close on. I think anybody that's followed my career knows that I'm pretty proud for him, and I think that's going to be a really exciting moment for a lot of longtime fans. Not just for me, but for a lot of the people that followed AJ's career over the years. Not even just the people that know him, but the fans. They've seen him back to Wildside and later TNA and Ring of Honor, and just to see him in this spot now, nobody has worked harder to get there, and it's really great to see it actually happening for him, and him not just being another guy that got thrown under the bus. Clearly they see him as a star and are presenting him as such. So that's awesome. So we're well over right now, but I hope that was the answer you were looking for, Eddie.
Oh no, I'm good. I just wanted the honesty. I mean, personally, I thought the Cena part of the promo was a touch heavy-handed. I thought a couple of AJ's facial expressions were like, did you really just go there? Legit, you could see it in his eyes. I thought the exchange was good, and personally, I'm looking forward to the matchup because I think that for as much as Cena excelled in the Kevin Owens series, for as much as Cena excelled in the Bray Wyatt series, I legitimately think that John Cena, I think Cena AJ is going to surprise a lot of people because people have short-term memories when it comes to John Cena. He doesn't just have the 5 moves of doom. Over the last 2 years, he's been pulling a lot of material out of the hat, whether it be new or flashback to the prototype. Guys?
Yeah. I mean, I think the match is going to be fucking great. I mean, you don't get in that spot if you're not able to be a top-level guy. I mean, he's gone out there and gone like an hour with Shawn Michaels and shit. I mean, I don't think anybody can legitimately say that, like, he's a bad wrestler. You might not like his shtick, or you might not like his deal or his personality or whatever, but, you can't deny that the guy can go in the ring. And, he's a money player, one of the last money players in the business from the last generation of stars. And so, it's a big deal for AJ to be in the ring with him. And, those other guys, it could be argued that maybe they didn't come out better, but, they both gave him a run for his money. I'd say Owens came out better than Wyatt in the grand scheme of things, but also that has to do with follow-up.
Yep.
Cena can beat you, and you can go on and still draw money if it's done right. But that's a whole other argument in any event. That's going to do it for this week, folks. We appreciate you tuning in here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Check us out on Potty Humor as well, youtube.com/Potty Humor, and follow me on Twitter @Dragons Rejects. You can see Andrew Alexander absolutely nowhere. And for Andrew and our producer, Fast Eddie Lane, here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network, I'm the Rev Dan Wilson. Keep one foot in the gutter and one fist in the gold. Good night.